right, perfect. Okay, in the meantime, while we're waiting, I've been explicitly told not to do any dad jokes, but that doesn't mean you guys can't. So if you got any, go for it.
I can't believe they shut you down on dad jokes today.
Well, to be fair, I'm pretty bad at them, so I kind of agree. But I'm more than willing to see what you guys got, and I'll read them out here.
I think we should just do some generic jokes too.
Absolutely. By all means, Brandy, if you got something,
All right, I'm going to jump right in.
go for it.
What do you call an angry carrot?
What do you call an angry carrot? You got me.
A steamed veggie.
All right.
That was good.
I like it. All right. Took me a second. I like it.
Why the carrot, though? The any veg.
I love carrots, Matthew.
All right, all right.
I got another one.
Please, by all means.
It's generic though. You know what though? I should come up. I think I do have some mom jokes because I'm a mom myself. Well, we'll get to that.
All right.
What do you call a pile of cats?
No clue.
I know you love cats, Keenan.
I do.
I really need you to think hard on this one.
What do you call a pile of cats?
Yep.
Boy, I'm not good at these.
All right. I can see your
No
struggle.
idea.
A meowton. See?
Excellent. Oh, Max got it.
We have a winner.
Max wins.
We got to start offering like incentives for answers.
Ooh, true. Maybe some swag giveaways.
Yes. All right, Matthew, Sophie, any good jokes?
I'm really bad at jokes.
Same. I can just read off what people are saying, maybe.
I know I am extremely literal person.
Which is also amazing.
Just a
I feel like
couple
we got
moments.
some good ones off a GPT though once. Maybe we should try that again.
Give it a shot.
All right, well, while she's doing that, I'm ready for my mom joke now.
Hit it.
Okay, let's hit it. I gotta psych myself up for it. What kind of flowers are best for Mother's Day?
Let's see if anyone gets it in the chat. I'm thinking.
What kind of flowers are best for Mother's Day? Come on, moms. There's got to be moms in this room. Oh, I got it.
Mums?
Moms.
Honestly, didn't even know that's a flower.
What? Oh my word, Keenan. You let me down that you didn't have the answer for the cat joke, and now you didn't know mums were a flower?
See, now, are you understanding why I'm not allowed to do jokes? It's making more sense now, isn't it?
You're allowed. That's funny.
Hey guys, if I'm looking for it, probably someone else is too. Where's the chat?
Right. So, are you on desktop or phone?
Desktop.
Okay, so there should be a little icon at the top of your screen that looks like a little messaging icon.
Got it.
Click
Thanks.
that, and it should pop out on the side. We used to use a full channel for chat, but it was didn't make much sense, and then Discord rolled out this lovely new feature, so much easier.
Oh, I love it. I'm looking at dahlias.
And as Germ states, it's the chrysanthemum.
I think germ is also very, very literal, but in a more funny way.
All right, 6 minutes passed. We'll give it like 1 more minute.
How does a penguin build its house? Ooh.
Let's see the answers. And again, I got nothing.
All right. Well, I mean, it glues it together.
Oh
Yeah.
man, Max is on top of this. Okay, Max is Googling them.
Max has a better sense of humor than I do. How do you organize a space party?
How?
You plan it.
Yeah,
Ooh, nice. That was a good one.
that's a winner.
All right,
Why
looks
don't
like
skeletons fight each other?
Wait, say that again. Why do what fight each other?
Why don't skeletons fight each other?
Oh, I don't know.
They don't have the guts.
Okay.
Max GPT. Yes.
awesome.
And yes, I did get all of these from GPT.
All right. It looks like we've got a bunch of people joining in. I think that is our cue to get started. So just a quick reminder that this call is recorded. We are set from 12 o'clock to 1:30 Eastern Time. So it's an hour and a half meeting. I will be moderating today, and I believe Waveform will be our note taker. If you can confirm that Waveform, that would be lovely. Links will be posted into the side chat here. So if we're discussing a certain topic, you can look for those in the chat on the right-hand side. If you're on desktop, on phone, I think it's a little bit different, but you should still be able to see the chat. And yeah, that is it. We'll get started here. So we've got a pretty packed meeting today, and a lot of presenters here. So I will get going right away. So our first thing is we're going to bring up Brandon to talk about a few subjects here.
Why, thank you, Keenan. Welcome, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I hope you are having a great start to your day, no matter what time zone you're in. That said, I wanted to jump right into a very exciting announcement that we're making as a team, and that is, if you haven't seen it already, Helium House Amsterdam tickets are for sale right now. Woohoo! I wish I could hear the cheering, so I'll just cheer myself then.
Ooh, I should have turned on that soundboard. We can get
There
some
we
clapping
go.
sounds.
I see it now. I see cheering. In the chat, you can see the landing page that we have already live on the website. They went on sale last Saturday. And there are 2 ticket options that folks can purchase. For the 2-day Helium House, which will be October 30th and 31st, that is $325. And you get access to all kinds of amazing stuff: speakers, workshops, of course, food, transportation. It is on Solana Breakpoint's campus, so we are really excited to be working in parallel with them. Great partners of Solana. So you'll be in the middle of all the action and learning from each other, meeting each other, networking with each other, and of course, eating. We're also going to have a great happy hour, which will be some great time to network with all kinds of folks from the Helium ecosystem and the community. So really excited about that. Big announcement there. Thanks to the whole Helium team and the community for helping us spread the word. We have announced it on all of our social channels, so look there, everywhere from Twitter to Discord to Reddit. to Facebook to LinkedIn, you name it. We're really trying to spread the word for folks to come join us and gather together on these 2 extremely exciting days. The second ticket that I mentioned is a Breakpoint add-on ticket. So if you want to attend Breakpoint all 5 days, because that is how they are advertising their conference, their registration starts at 3 p.m. on Monday, so the 30th, and then they have panels and tracks and several days worth of events and community items to get involved with. You can add that on, and that's $825, and that gets you everything. That gets you the 2 days at Helium House and then access to Breakpoint all 5 days, which goes until Friday. So they gave us a nice ticket there to extend to the community, and so we are offering that now live. So those are the 2 types of tickets you can get. We hope to see everyone there. Our team is all going to be there, all of us. So we're super psyched about that and would like to meet with all of you, a real time to get together, learn, educate each other, hands-on workshops, hack away at things, and just really build the community. So very excited about that announcement. So there we go. That's out of the gate. I'd also like to kind of touch on some of the most recent partnerships, and I don't know if you've seen it, but I sure have, media and press that we're getting, real positive press out there. So we announced our great partnership with Deutsche Telekom recently, and we had trade publications in the media and press like Fierce Wireless pick us up. So we're really excited about that because we're starting to get some really good press and outside branding and folks getting involved in seeing the great things we're doing in the Helium community and ecosystem. They're taking notice and they're interviewing us and talking to us and amplifying our partners. So real positive momentum. And if you didn't see this announcement, H&T token is listed on Coinbase. Who hasn't seen that? I mean, what a huge announcement. I personally have only been here for a few short wonderful months, but I have heard that this is a long time coming. And so a huge celebration to the community for constantly elevating Helium and the network. And there we are. There we have it. We are now on Coinbase. So huge news coming out and accomplishments. And I'll throw one more in there. Don't know if you saw, but a tier 1 media outlet decided to write about us the other day, MarketWatch. So we retweeted that on all of our social channels, so feel free to read the article. But that's talking about more great partners on the ecosystem, WeatherXM, Connected Kitchen OS. So we're getting a lot of visibility, a lot of eyeballs on us. So it's exciting, very exciting time, and great news that we have this month.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Brandon. That was awesome. And if anyone's looking for any of those media articles or any info on Helium House, Angry Pickle Blair has been posting some of those in the chats on the side there. If you have any questions about Helium House, hop into one of the channels in Discord, like general questions and answers. We can help you answer any questions about that. And hope to see you there. Perfect. So just moving on to the next topic, we have an MCC update from Sophie. So take it away, Sophie.
Hey, y'all. So I wanted to give a couple of updates. I'm going to start with the makers, Midas and Bobcat. So the MCC has temporarily turned off Midas's API key because for 2 reasons. They've changed leadership as well as they told us they've lost control of their key. So Midas is going through the KYC process again next week. For anyone that doesn't know, it's Know Your Customer. We talk to their leadership and make sure they are who they say they are. If they pass KYC and convince us that they are not a security risk, we will reinstate their key. So Bobcat update. Bobcat has changed their name to Bobber due to another Bobcat name in existence, the giant excavating machine company. So we are aware of community concerns around these things: support queries that are remaining unanswered, a constant balance of 0 onboards, meaning customers of Bobber are not able to onboard their hotspots, the Bobber app not working properly, and a lack of response in the Discord channel. I think I've covered the top 4. You can put it in the chat if there's something else. So let me address them one by one. Since, although Bobcat or Bobber does not seem to be communicating much here on Discord, I have often been in touch, as well as other members of the MCC, over email these past few weeks. They were asked to come on this community call and present, and unfortunately they declined, so I'm going to share their responses here. So for support queries will be answered within 24 hours. They have asked that community members, hotspot owners, use the form on bobber.com. An email sent to bobcatminer.com, any address there will not work. They do not have control over that URL anymore. For the 0 onboards, they have said that they will cover approximately 200 hotspot onboards by the end of this week. This has happened before, and every time that they've said they will update their onboard, their DC balance, they have. For the app, this morning, they've said that they are actively working to resolve the issues with their app. And for Discord, I personally have asked them many times if they have control of their Discord account, and I have not seen any response. And so to summarize, I'm going to look in the chat in a minute here, but to summarize, the MCC is very well aware of the situation and will share information with the community as we get it. We are actively speaking with Bobber, and you should feel free to ask our community managers, or you can tag me for updates. Let me just look in the chat here and see. Okay. I see Average Joe saying the same thing, has responses from Bobber saying the same thing stated here now. Okay, I'm going to move on to Maker DC balances. Mod community manager and general badass Angry Pickle Bear made a dashboard for us on Dune, and I'm just going to post that in the chat here. The MCC process is to look at this dashboard once a week and individually email makers who have dropped below 10 onboards. Working on automating that process. If anyone has any thoughts on that, they can just DM me directly or put it in the chat. Okay, and here's a couple of dev updates to do with makers. There is no action required from hotspot owners, community members, or makers. This is really just an FYI to continue on from last week, the last community call update. So there was a previous issue where hotspot owners could start the onboarding process. They would receive an NFT, and then the hotspot would fail to onboard. And in this case, onboarding would fail every time because the NFT already existed. And so this fix has been deployed. It was deployed about 3 weeks ago, and that error should not happen anymore. This is another FYI, an update that's scheduled to take place next week. The core dev team has proposed an update date to improve the first time a hotspot owner that's with a brand new wallet to help their onboarding experience. We noticed that brand new hotspot owners were not able to onboard without SOL in their wallets, and they didn't know why they weren't able to onboard. So this update pulls a transaction fee in SOL from a maker's wallet into the new hotspot owner. And this would only happen if it was a brand new wallet. I think that is the end. Let me just look in the chat and make sure that there's not any questions here. Okay, thank you, Angry Pickle Bear. Bobcat just added 10K DC to their account. So if you've got a bobber, I would run there right now and onboard, because that's only good for about 220. Any chance we can get some information about the slow signing process from FreedomFi hotspots causing deployers to be significantly affected by HIP 83's latency requirements? I don't have that information, but if there is someone here from Freedom Fi, they can jump in on the chat.
I believe there's talk
okay.
of using secure keys to get sort of deal with this issue, but I'm not sure what the progress is on that. We might need someone else to discuss.
I can speak to that. The real term, and it's not going to help PUC at the moment. That project is called session keys, and it would just be for data transfer as a start. I think it is a legitimate question. I'll ask Freedom Fi if they've noticed the latency, if they have any plans to fix it. But yeah, just want to chime in those two things. It's called session keys, and it's only for data transfer at the moment. At least that's the plan.
I just want to address one more thing. I see someone asking about Curlink. Could you please, I don't think that I have an update for you, but would be happy to go and find an update. Could you please say what you're looking for? Or put it in the chat. That's it for me. Thanks, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you, Sophie. Okay, just moving on from there. It looks like no grant update this month from Clarissa. Clarissa, feel free to chime in if there is something. Otherwise, we'll move along. Next up, we have the Solana FAQ blog that was posted. So I'm just going to put that in the chat on the right-hand side there. So what this is basically for community members who just had basic questions about our transition from the Helium blockchain to the Solana blockchain. Very straightforward questions on how to interact with it. For example, we've got a question here that says, what is Sol? Or do you need Sol to use the Helium network? Where do I get Sol? You can use this blog. You can pass that along to people that have not been in the community for about 6 months. They've come back and they're like, hey, what's changed? You can send them this blog, and that should answer quite a few questions. And moving on, we're going to get Angry Bear up here to talk about a Solana AMA with Bonk. So Angry Bear, if I can get you up on stage. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, hey everyone. So posted the event link in the side chat here. Again, it's going to be on the right side of your phone screen or your Discord screen if you're listening to this call on your computer. Usually on the top right corner, you can click in there and see what everyone's chatting about. So basically what this is we're going to have a couple of devs from the Bonk team, Nam and Mac from Monkey DAO and Bonk, hosting an event for the Helium community, welcoming the Helium community to Solana and teaching them about the Solana blockchain, the Solana ecosystem, and generally just having an AMA. So you'll be welcome to ask them any kinds of questions about Solana or Solana projects or Solana ecosystem, and they'll do their best to answer them for you. Basically, they'll talk about everything ranging from wallet security to some of the common apps that you might interact with on the Solana ecosystem, and everything that's possible on Solana outside of the Helium ecosystem. So it's a really great way to learn about some of the other projects that are on Solana and how you might be able to use your Helium tokens, or how they might use Helium tokens or Helium itself as a project in the future. So as we're on Solana now, we're starting to see more integrations with smart contracts and projects on Solana, both coming from the Helium community and the Solana community. So join and come learn with us. There will be some prizes for people that are joining. So I believe people who are attending will have the opportunity to earn a Bonk airdrop. Basically get some Bonk tokens to play around with on Solana. So they'll go through some of the things that you can do on Solana using those Bonk tokens. So yeah, the date is still TBD. Right now it says August 16th, but that's very subject to change. So keep in mind that is not a firm date yet. And as soon as we have a firm date, I will let you guys know. We'll have some communications go out about it, and that's all. Looking forward to seeing everyone there.
Thank you, Brian. And And as he mentioned, it is in the side there where it says the Discord event for Bonk. However, if you also look in the Discord at the very top above all of the channels, it says events. Click on there. You'll see the events that we have lined up coming up. If you're interested in something, click interested and Discord will notify you. You can also click the 3 dots and then it'll give you the option to add it to your calendar so you don't forget it and don't miss it. So if you're interested, add it to your calendar. All right, and we're going to move on to Waveform, who's going to talk about heliumvote.com. Take it away, Waveform.
Yes, so heliumvote.com, there were problems with it for a few weeks due to cache of some old data where old closed votes were showing up as still valid. That's been cleared now, so the old status of votes is now static. We will be using heliumvote.com to point to Realms votes in the future, and it will become the repository of vote status for all old votes and point to current valid voting votes at the time.
Perfect. Thank you, Waveform. Okay. And we've got Joey up here. Joey, you want to take it away?
Hey, morning. So last week we sent out an announcement letting folks know that the legacy Explorer, it was explorer-old.helium.com, that is going to be shut down. And in conjunction with that, the old API, this is the API that folks used to use on Explorer, is also being shut down. These were in sort of a little bit of a rough shape as they were, so I don't think most folks are going to notice a difference here. For anyone who was looking to leverage the data from the Helium L1, there's now a massive set of CSVs that track basically every state that happened on the Helium L1. It's about 1.4 terabytes of CSV content, and that is available for anyone to download if they want to do some analysis there. All of this is written up in the Helium dev blog. That's on docs.helium.com/dev blog, if I'm remembering correctly. And if anyone has questions on that, there's the data analysis channels here in Discord. So thank you.
Thanks, Joey. I know you have another event happening shortly, I believe.
Yeah, come join me on Twitter. We're going to talk about regenerative finance.
And that can be found also in the events link on Discord. Click there. It'll bring you to the Twitter link. Next up, we've got Matthew talking about the second halving coming up shortly.
Yeah, so this is basically just a reminder that as approved under HIP 20 way back in November 2020, the second Helium network halving is happening on the 1st of August 2023 at midnight UTC. So what that means is that all future emissions for HNT, IoT, and mobile will be halved. So more concretely, HNT emissions go from 30 million to 15 million per year. Mobile 60 billion to 30 billion. IoT 65 billion to 32.5 billion. This has no effect on existing balances for any of these tokens or on DC, only on future emissions. And then I guess small notes. 2024 is a leap year, so the emissions are actually going to be slightly lower on a per day than just being halved. And then if you are looking closely at the actual emissions, we don't have full emissions yet for IoT or mobile because we don't have oracles, for instance, beacon rewards or mappers and providers on mobile as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Matthew. Is there any questions regarding that?
Yeah, there's one. Are staking rewards also cut by half? Yes, this is all rewards, and since staking rewards are in IoT or mobile, that is included.
Perfect. Okay. Any more questions regarding that before we move on? Going once. All right, we're going to move forward. Next up, excuse me again, we are going to be discussing the mobile working group. So it looks like we have an update from a few people here, actually. So whoever wants to start, please take it away.
All right, so mobile working group has done a bunch of stuff in the last month. Most notably, we got a commitment from Nova Labs to back pay all the onboarding for any gateways on the mobile sub-DAO. That's really helping our A score and then the amount of HNT that gets deposited in the treasury. We do have elections coming up. No dates set yet, but hopefully this week. Those will be in realms using VE Mobile. Additionally, there is a charter that I can circulate in here for how the voting is going to go and the roles of the mobile working group. And then I'll kick it over for the modeled coverage update.
Hey everyone. So quick update on HIP 74 implementation. We're getting super close to launching. I'll talk a little bit about the current stage and what's the plan is and timeline. So currently we're starting to test MOG data, full end-to-end integration. The goal is tested by end of this week. It will probably spill a little bit to the next week. Then the next stage, we'll test data coming from test devices, also end-to-end on the DevNet. That's integration of modeled coverage Oracle, mobile Oracle, other components. And once we verify there are no issues, we're going to deploy everything to production, except we're not going to enable rewards right away. So the goal is to show the community, everyone in the mobile model coverage planner, the calculated estimated coverage points by the mobile Oracle verifier. So you can see the impact, you can understand how it is calculated, etc. But we will not enable that; those points will not affect the rewards right away. So we plan to have the estimated coverage points calculated by verifier displayed for about a week, get all the feedback from community, and make sure we figure out, fix issues, and only then we will enable the model coverage in the POC rewards. So that's the plan for deployment. Current ETA for the production is end of August. That's given we don't discover any major issues with our code and during testing, all the phases of testing. Then I also wanted to mention the CPA data cleanup efforts. We realized that it's an inconvenience for some of the folks in the community as we go back and revisit approved registration. There are some deployments that need to be redone, but I think this is a very crucial effort in order to make sure that we're FCC compliant, we have quality installments on the network, and we're also fairly rewarding everyone who's properly deploying the radio. So I apologize for inconvenience, and I hope you guys understand that this is really for the benefit of the whole network. We're 50% through the review process. So those all of my updates. Feel free to ask any questions. I'll monitor the chat.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the updates. Okay,
Oh,
we're gonna move.
One
Sorry, go
more update. Come to our meetings on Thursdays, 10 a.m. Central. 10 a.m. Pacific. We will be discussing Wi-Fi. I don't want to talk about it too much because I think Italian dude's going to come up and discuss that. But that's probably going to be on the docket for the next meeting.
Yeah, good call. And once again, the IoT and mobile working groups can be found in the events calendar. Those calls are also recorded, so even if you can't make it, which would be great if you could, you can always find the recording pinned in the specific channel. So if you're looking for the mobile working group call, you can find it in the mobile working group channel, and IoT, same thing. Okay. So speaking of the IoT working group, Germ, can we get you up here? Perfect. Thank you, Jeremy.
And hit the button. Hey, wasn't expecting an update. Let's see. A lot of things happened in the IoT working group in the last month. Mostly HIPs that have come up, passed, some have failed. Of course, HIP 83 was an initiative by one of our working group members, BFD Neil, that passed, and that is a big HIP for IoT. It rewards the first to report on POC, proof of coverage, towards a general goal of making higher quality POC reward things that are higher quality for the network. In the course of going through HIP 83, the group was looking at the results and noticed that there's some inefficiencies in data transfer that could probably be knocked down to make data transfer more like POC and vice versa. So as a result of that, alluded to earlier, something called session keys that Nova is coding up right now, and the working group is part of the process of the design, which is very handy. There's some PRs in work. Nova will be talking. Nova has some plans of when they plan to present that to the community and deploy it. We've gone through, tried to track down all stakeholders to see if there's anything that would go wrong with that or any objections to it. And the feedback we've gotten from LNS operators, who are the primary people affected by this, has been wildly positive. And again, it should take out 150 milliseconds from, on average, on every data transfer. So that's a great thing that happened through the working group there. HIP 72 did not pass. If Dynacore is around, I believe he has some adjustments that he would take into the next version of it. The working group had a lot of really great feedback about problems they saw with it and things that they thought if they were fixed, they would vote for it. So I think that is coming. Not certain. That's up to Dynacore and whether to restart that process. What else is going on in the group? If anybody from the group remembers and can just type in a basic phrase, I will jump onto it and explain what that is. But, oh yeah, no, session keys was a really great discussion we had from Nova and the whole group last time. I think we all admit that was one of the most fascinating and productive meetings we had. Hand it back to you.
Thank you, Jerm. Okay, so I think we're gonna well, you already brought up HIP 83, so we got an update regarding that. HIP 88, from a HIP that passed. Noah, did you want to talk about that one? Gateholder as well?
Yeah. So implementation wise, we're still very much in the implementation phase of this. There was a change made that added the onboarding piece to mobile, which, affects the utility score because now all active mobile hotspots are being counted towards the utility score. But of course, those onboarding fees actually do need to be paid. It's part of a larger story we have around tracking on-chain what every single device has paid and the activity status of each hotspot. So it's a lot of data. We need to backfill a lot of the data. The contracts are complete, and they actually just got through audit. So I'm hoping sometime next week we'll be putting these changes into testing where we actually, have the data on-chain in mainnet, but we aren't using it for the utility score. And then once we verify that all of the hotspot activity statuses look correct and all of the onboarding costs look correct, then we will get audited and then switch to that for the utility scores.
Perfect. And while you're here, if you want to discuss also HIP 89.
Hold on, can you remind me the title of that one? There's so many things just get lost in the.
Yep. VE mobile network onboarding fees.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what I was just talking about. We're the onboarding fees are already added to the mobile network. The trick now is actually tracking them. I know 88 and 89. But yeah, we're already charging for mobile onboarding fees. It's just there needs to be a fix for all of the old hotspots, right? Which requires one, tracking what they paid, and then two, having an endpoint where somebody can go and basically back pay those hotspots.
Heated Lime, if you wanted to chime in here as well, feel free.
Nope, I think you covered it all.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. So then moving on to HIP 91, quick update from Max.
Yeah, so HIP 91 passed. Actually, we proposed and passed HIP 91 since the last community call, so I'll just give a quick overview of it. HIP 69 essentially reduced the onboarding fee to $5. Not the onboarding fee, the reassert fee, and all assert fees to $5. So we could come up with a new assert fee. Did that for 3 months. There were problems with the maker apps that made the data that we got in the prior 3 months not very reliable. So we're extending the $5 assert fee for 6 months so we can collect more data. The plan is to use the first 3 months to collect data and then the next 3 months to figure out a good solution going forward. But for the next 6 months, there will be a $5 assert fee in the IoT sub-DAO.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Max. All right. Germ already touched base on HIP 72. So we can move along to new potential HIPs. So we've got PR 736 from Leo and Gradodge. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. So if any of one of you want to come up and discuss, by all means, put your hand up. There we go. All right, Leo, take it away.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, sound great.
Yeah, I basically just written up what was discussed last time in Elon's absence. Elon's is away, and it was actually Grado that has done all the work with the data. So I think it's all pretty much ready to go. It's just a little bit bewildering that we are all still talking about this, and it's basically left up to the community. I think it really needs a little help with all the data at the moment.
Is there any questions for Leo in the chat? Just going to wait there for a second. Questions, comments? See a few people typing, so just give it a second. Is it actually 2 a.m. where you are, Leo?
It is exactly 2 a.m. So
all right. So absolutely props for staying awake and joining here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let's get this done.
Perfect. Okay. All right.
So yes, there'll be I don't know if you saw it, but there will be a channel created for it.
Yeah, sounds great.
Excellent. Okay. So if it's okay with you, Leo, we can move on to the next.
It's all good. I mean, in the end, I don't think there needs to be a lot of discussion. I mean, it's fairly clear cut. It just needs to be fixed.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you, Leo. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Clamp It. I see you're already up here to talk about PR 721, so go for it.
Yeah, thank you for the time to come up here and speak for a minute. There's not a lot to update directly to the PR. There's no text has been changed with the PR itself. The updates that I have is mostly just discussions that have been had with Waveform and discussions that have been had with Mad Ninja concerning PR 721. Those discussions are that Nova can Mad Ninja said something along the lines of, we might do something even more severe than PR 721, leaving it, not needed. My thoughts on that, and I've expressed this to Waveform and Star Watcher both, is that PR 721 needs to stay on deck and be ready to be, to be implemented. And I think that it's been told to me that Nova could implement something like PR 721 without even needing a community vote. So I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, but yeah. So we're mostly waiting on Mad Ninja, Star Watcher, to do something, to implement something, or have a new algorithm in place. And that's pretty much the update that I have for PR 721.
Thanks, Clampett. I'm just taking a look in the chat here to see if there's any comments or questions. Just one moment.
A governance clarification is that the community voted for Nova to maintain the deny list, and their way of maintaining that deny list is the decisions that they can modify. So they could implement what's in 721 without needing a HIP, or they could implement a different solution. The vote that we've given Nova is to maintain a deny list.
Correct. And Hashcode put that also in the comments. Fizzy's asking, can we have a deadline on this from them? So assuming that we don't hear from Nova at a certain time, that we move forward with PR 721, making it into a HIP and taking it to community vote. What should that time frame be? All right, I'll say this. 2 weeks ago at the IoT working group call, we did have Star Watcher come on that IoT working group. He is extremely knowledgeable about the problem, what caused the problem, and put his hand up and said, "I'm responsible for this." So I will take the time and write the code to fix it. Give me 30 days. And I think we've been about 16 days since then, because that would have been on a Monday. So we're about 16 days from there. I would love to hear, a nice update from them, from Star Watcher and Mad Ninja.
So there was quickly
I can help.
Make there.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Jerm.
I can give some status on this. So you're right. We did talk about this in the IoT working group call. I have it on the agenda for next Monday. Mad Ninja and Professor and Matthew will all be speaking, I believe, on this issue and the large issue I think that they've been working on. So I wanted to have them on this week to talk about it because they had talked a little bit about it. And I thought this would be a great forum to have them on. And they weren't quite ready. So I think it would be really cool to have them on the next working group call and to talk about the general plan, which would include elements of PR 721 here, as far as I understand it. So we're going to at least get that update on Monday. Mad Ninja is not available at the moment to talk here, unfortunately.
Okay, so we're talking about Monday and 5 days from now. That's perfectly reasonable.
I'm just giving more update. We can continue the conversation and talk about the points in here too.
Perfect. Okay. So just again, checking the comments here, see if there's any more questions about it. If not, we can take it offline and move on to the next topic. That's okay, Clampett?
That's fine. Thank you guys again for giving me a few minutes to speak.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming up. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on. We've got Italian Dude. Are you out there? If you want to come up here and give us an update on PR 746.
Well, hello everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Well, thank you so much for giving me some time. So I just posted in the chat the link to the pull request. Like from the title, the idea, this kind of stemmed from some of the work that Max also mentioned in the mobile working group. the idea is to add Wi-Fi access points to the mobile sub-DAO. And this is the proposal for the HIP that will need to be discussed, of course, together within the community. So, but to give kind of like a high-level update on that, why? Well, the idea is to add an additional way of offloading mobile data coming from mobile subscriber using Wi-Fi. So what we did, we started from all the learnings from IP74 and adapted it to the peculiarity of the Wi-Fi standard. And that's what you will see in the pull request. We are taking a lot of the language from IP74 and a lot of the ways and multipliers, their details that they are in there. A couple of assumptions that you will see there is the fact that those Wi-Fi access points, actually, they are, I would say, a joint implementation of a radio and a gateway. So I think that if you look at CBRS, for example, there is this clear differentiation between the radios and the gateways. In the case of the Wi-Fi access point, is actually one device that acts both as a radio as well as a gateway for the purpose of course, of all the rewards mechanism. In general, the way those devices should be treated is that we are actually working closely with the MCC committee to ensure the maximum level of trust in those access points. And so those access points will be manufactured according to those guidelines. And as you go through the document, we divided the document in two big sections. One is about indoor access point. The other one is about outdoor access point. And there is a big difference between the two, specifically regarding capabilities of location assertion. The indoor access points, they are not able, they don't have GPS capability. That's very common for any type of indoor Wi-Fi access point. And for that reason, we detail some procedure in the pull request on how we can trust more the location that gets asserted. And again, we won't have time to go in details. So we will open up a channel in the community to discuss this in more details. But the basic idea is that there are different levels of trust. We call it a location trust score. So when a indoor Wi-Fi access point gets onboarded using the mobile app, and that's where we use the first GPS coordinates to how we actually validate that through an external database location service, all the way down to the possibility of using coverage events to validate the position of the access point. So we introduced this new concept that wasn't in IP74 of location trust score. But other than that, you see that there are similarities between, of course, the IP74 for CBRS that was targeting CBRS and what we are proposing in this pull request. For example, we are talking about model coverage. We are talking about how clutter data can be used for outdoor radios to predict the signal strength. We are using the same REST-12 access, and also all those things stays the same. Of course, given the nature of Wi-Fi and the propagation and the fact that it's a licensed spectrum, should say better, unlicensed spectrum, which means that there is actual congestion and interference is kind of built into the standard. We adjusted the proposal for coverage points that are adjusted based on some assumption of what a useful coverage will look like. So in general, you see the CBRS indoor radius was awarded for indoor for access also adjacent to the X where the CBRS radio was onboarded. In the case of Wi-Fi, we are proposing just to the REST-12 X where the access point is onboarded. And things of that matter. Those are the things that you see as a difference. However, looking forward to interact with you all and discuss in a separate channel all the details, and happy I will look at the chat and happy to answer any question everyone has in here, if any.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Miashka, did you have anything to add there?
No, I didn't. I was just in case anyone has questions related to HIP 74, and it's related to the Wi-Fi HIP, so I just jumped in.
Got it. I don't think I see any questions just yet, but if they pop up, I guess just keep an eye on the chat.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. All right. And next up, we've got PR 744. Take it away.
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if my mic was working. Got some weird technical issues on this side. So yeah, basically PR 744. I mean, some people have said it's probably doesn't even necessarily need a hit, but it's sort of there now. So there's some feedback that I've already received from people, which I'm updating it with today. But essentially, the basic premise of this is that there's some makers who have left the space officially. So the main ones are Syncrobit, PyCom, and Controlino at this point, I think. Obviously, there's a few others like Deeper that have, but they've sort of been banned rather than left. So slightly different story there. But ultimately, the idea of this is that at the moment, there's no real good way for users who have bought hotspots from these sort of three companies. So for background, Nebra's taken over the updates from them, but we don't have access to their wallets. So ultimately, these people can't onboard. If people have bought a hotspot from Controlino or PyCom or Syncrobit, they essentially can't onboard or assert the first location for their hotspot without doing one of two slightly risky things, which is one of which is just burning DC to the wallet and hoping they get there first, and the other one would be sort of paying another maker to actually rekey the miner, which is possible, but neither of these solutions are great. So the real idea here is to allow a flag in the onboarding server for a maker that has left the community or been suspended, and that would then allow the hotspot owner, so that the person whose wallet it is, to essentially implicitly burn the DC from their wallet without that risk of someone else taking it in the interim. So that's the general idea. As Max has said in the chat, I guess the main question was somewhat like how to deal with that flag. So I know, like earlier in the call, like Midas and Bobcat were spoken about, and I think things like that is where it becomes difficult, because they haven't left the ecosystem, but they've just not topped up their DC. And I think Max, at some point when we were talking the other day, you proposed like a 60-day, like if they hadn't responded to the MCC within like a 60-day period or something. I guess that's the main unresolved question, is like, how do you, like, obviously Controlino, for example, they actually came to the MCC at some point and said, right, we're leaving. And that's quite an obvious one. So, at that point, you just flip the flag and that's done. But with someone, with other scenarios, it could be that, maybe like a bad Tinder date, you just get ghosted. And in that case, that's a bit harder to deal with, because it's sort of like, have they left or haven't they? So I think that's what Max is saying in the chat about, do we, at what point is there a cutoff, and is that sort of set in stone, or is it something that is open to interpretation from a human, as in, if Bobcat came back sorry for using Bobcat, if any maker came back and said, oh, well, look, we've just got restructuring issues, does that 60-day get waived? There's a lot of sort of questions on that. So I think that's really the main bit that I wanted input on, in terms of, like, how do you actually commit to setting that flag? And if you do commit to setting that flag, what does that mean going forward, in terms of, is that maker permanently banned, or is there a way that they can come back into the ecosystem, or whatever? So I think those are the main unresolved questions, really. So I don't know if anyone has any sort of feedback on that. Otherwise, I'll, as I said in the chat earlier, if I'm going to add this sort of feedback I've already got to the HIP, and we'll sort of finish that this evening UK time, so in the next couple of hours. But beyond that, if there's any other feedback in terms of how we maybe would deal with these kind of questions, that'd be great.
Just taking a look at the chat.
Yeah, so Abe has said community should grant the MCC the responsibility to figure out the sticky bits, and they determine to what to do in the edge cases. Yeah, to be honest, I kind of agree with that, and that's what me and Max was sort of talking about the other day in the general chat, which was basically that, you know, we could set a sort of timeline, like, you know, if they don't reply within 60 days, then, you know, it's sort of like the flag gets switched or automatically in inverted commas. But, you know, if they come back and say, look, guys, we're just doing a restructure, we're struggling or something, then there's that sort of human element, which I think makes sense as well. But yeah, that was kind of, I think, what me and Max were discussing the other day. So yeah, I mean, unless there's any sort of major concerns with that, with letting the MCC sort of have a bit of flexibility on that, then I personally agree that that's the sort of best way to deal with it.
Got it. Just waiting for a couple more comments here first before I let you go. You can just see a few people typing, so we'll just give them a second.
Yep, sure. Anyway, after this, I'll put those submissions in, and I will share the link in the chat again. But they're pretty basic modifications to what is already in there. And also, just so you're aware, like the foundation has, I think at the moment it says just me put on it, but it was actually some input from the foundation, Germ and Sophie and Noah as well. So just to say thanks to them for their inputs, and Max as well.
Cool. All right, I don't see any specific questions for you, so I guess we can put a pin in it for now.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Well, thanks for coming up. All right, and now we've got a update from Waveform regarding governance.
Yes, so we've been recruiting for a new governance manager for the last few weeks, and one will be appointed. I don't know when, but at some point. But in advance of that, some of the discussions that have come up about governance internally and from other people, I've created a discussion document, which I will just post in the chat here, for ideas about governance future. One of the ones that has been mentioned is we have a sort of governance committee, which would be appointed by vote and would represent different members, special interest groups, working groups of the whole ecosystem. And one idea could be that people who have ideas for HIPs or have full-blown HIPs could contact the group, and this committee would review the HIP or the idea, and if the person with the idea doesn't have the skills, could actually resource the skills from the community to actually create the HIP and view how it could be implemented. They could review the HIP and say, is it possible to be implemented? Should it go to a vote? Or in some instances, if there's virtually no reason why a suggestion should not go to a vote, needs a vote, then it can just be implemented. An example of that is the current issue of session keys. We're trying to identify stakeholders who could object to this being implemented, and if we can't find anyone who will be negatively affected or anyone who has an objection, then it will just be implemented. The other things that the group can do is identify the correct stakeholders It can identify the right success metrics for a hip, so that we don't have some of the other discussions we've had on some of the older hips about is this a real success metric? Has it been evaluated? Is it accurate? Just when this committee could become more of a resource for people with great ideas. It can also create its own hips if it feels that there's a problem that needs to be addressed. But yeah, the document's up there for people to review, discuss. There's a forum channel, discussion channel in governance, and this is all about creating feedback from the community before the new governance manager arrives, so they can go back and take a feel for governance feeling. There are some of the motivations for this are to improve communications and improve engagement and gain more visibility and trust in the governance processes that we have. Any questions? I can talk to you in the forum, really, probably the best place, so we have responses in there.
Not seeing anything in the chat just yet. Want to give people a second here. I think we got a side conversation going on.
Yeah.
10 more seconds, and then we can kind of move on to the next item here. Okay, looks like we can kind of just move on here. So I believe, was there any more content from you, Waveform?
No.
Okay. Well, then I guess we are at the end. So if there's any other business, if there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We are well ahead of time here. We're about 20 minutes early. So if anyone wants to discuss anything, by all means. Give it a couple seconds. Looks like we've got a big conversation going on about PR 744 in the chat. So I assume we'll move that over to one of the Discord channels after. Or feel free to use the voice chat. Okay, looks like there's no other questions or comments. So we'll be calling it a little bit early today then. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who came on. Once again, this call was recorded. We will have the recording posted in Discord, and I believe it will be on YouTube as well shortly after. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us in the community managers on Discord. And thanks for coming, everyone. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next time, next month. Have a good one, everyone.